"Hey, what's your problem, Barbara?" said a voice she knew all too well. She swung round to face her older half-brother Colin. Glaring at him in anger, she thought, how could he scare me like that? What are you playing at? Sneaking up on me? Wait a minute, he ordered, grabbing her arm. I wasn't sneaking up on you. The car packed up, so I asked the way to the house. Colin paused, studying her white face. Then I saw you ahead of me. All of a sudden you started running. Her heart was still racing from the scare, though a great half of her was relieved that it hadn't been creeps or whoever had threatened her. We didn't think you'd be back before Dad got home. He gave her a look Barbara had seen many times, as if to say, not my father. I've got some extra study time. The college is having an internal investigation for fiddling funds. Mum will be glad to see you. She forced a smile. Shall we head back to the road or go through the trees? Colin said nothing, he just peered around. I'll leave it to your good judgment. For long while Barbara glared at him. Colin always seemed to look down on her and Jake, as though they were something to be pitied, like a kitten or puppy, and she really hated it when he acted like he knew everything. No, she shot back. Why don't you choose? Well, for one thing, you've been here longer than I, so I think you should know the better way. Besides, you chose to leave the path in the first. Oh, will you shut up? Barbara yelled. You haven't changed one bit, you know it all. So neither have you. Few words between them as they headed towards the house. Colin just whistled to himself, very out of tune. As they broke through the tree line into a clearing, he paused for a moment, regarding the swing. What's up? This swing doesn't look very safe to me, he stated coldly. It should be condemned. Condemned? Colin, it's only a swing. Condemned? What did you mean by that? Maybe he's been here all along, trying to scare me, just to prove how inferior I am. With that, Colin turned towards the house. Looks like a nice place. Nice and quiet. He looked at his half-sister. I'm going to be relying on you to keep the place nice and quiet when I'm studying. Oh, yes, my lord. At that moment the silence cracked as the sound of an engine poured into the front yard. It's the removal truck, Barbara stated, a gleam in her eye. All the things they had in their last house. It should make things a lot better here. She took off, leaving Colin viewing over the house. Round the front, a large blue removal van stood poised as its engine cut out. Mrs. Hoffman came running out. She seemed surprised to see her daughter home from school so early. Ah. Hi. Barbara, what are you doing home so early? I thought, Miss Faulkner? She's my advisor. Well, I asked her if it was okay if I came back to help, and she said it was fine. Hey, Mum! Colin yelled as he stepped into the front lawn. Colin, we weren't. He finished the lines. Expecting you till your husband gets here. Then he explained the situation. Barbara, Mrs. Hoffman said at length. Can you help the removal man? I'm pretty sure Colin's hungry after the long trip. Sure, she huffed. I came back to help, not to end up doing it all. But both of them had gone inside. Sighing, she turned to face the van. It was now being unloaded. None of the removers had said the word. She slowly stepped forward and started picking up some of the smaller boxes. Barbara slammed them down in the living room, trying not to vent her anger too much on the items inside. She collapsed on an armchair, feeling tired again. This moving house thing's totally wrong. I can't feel it. The loud thuds and bangs came from all over the house as the family things were bought in. So not much chance of getting a quick nap. At last she heard her mum's voice, giving instructions on where various things should be placed. But the noise soon died as the removal guys headed away. Just then the lounge door slowly creaked open. Colin stepped inside. I thought you would have been going through this stuff, taking your things to your room. I'm not in the mood, she replied frankly. You can't despise me that much. He smiled warmly. If you like, I can't stay in a motel in town. Oh, it isn't just you. Barbara wasn't going to rule out his involvement in her current unhappiness. No one seems to understand. Everyone loves this place, yet I don't. Do you think I'm being selfish? Well, I wouldn't know. This house is pretty much the same as any other. But as I won't be living here for too long, it's a weird house, not to mention the swing. Barbara stopped him. "This isn't pretty much like any house, it's kind of freaky." She stopped herself at that moment. The last thing she wanted right now was being told that swings don't move on their own, for there's no such things as ghosts. "Where's Mum?" "She's gone to pick up Jade from school, so it looks like it's just thee and me." "Oh, joy. So how are things going at college?" "Well, college is college. What else is there you can say?" Colin reasoned. "Would you mind if I put on a movie?" "Why not?" Barbara got to her feet, placed her glasses up on her nose and picked up some of the boxes that belonged to her and stormed out, leaving Colin's glare to follow her out the room. When she stepped into her room, it seemed a little smaller, but it soon clicked why. The old oak wardrobe that her granddad had made was in there. He had given it to Barbara on her 13th birthday, but familiar that it was, it still refused to belong. "Just as I don't belong here," she groaned. "Oh, well, there's no point in complaining. I've got to fit in." Slowly she started to unpack her clothes, but in the end she just gave up and lay flat out staring at the ceiling, its patterned forms slowly sending her into a dreamless sleep.